Welcome back, friends. Now it's time to talk Street Fighter. And who better to talk about it than the founder of Level Up and former fighting game champ, the one and only and good friend of mine, Alex Valle. My man, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Dude, what's up going on, man?
So for those who don't know, Alex is a absolute veteran, and I saw some people in the chat wondering what FGC stands for. Fighting Game Community is essentially kind of the catch-all term that's used for pretty much all of the fighting game community. So, you know, games like King of Fighters, we just had a new release, and it's awesome. Or Dragon Ball Fighters, or even like, you know, things like Smash. But most importantly, and I would say for many sitting at the top of that throne, it's Street Fighter. And for me, it's an important part of my life because it was a game, besides Halo, it was the other game that brought me and my brother closer together. But it was in the arcade, Alex. So let's actually talk about this, because the origins of Street Fighter doesn't start typically like it does for a lot of other esports. It started in a communal way in the arcade. And what was your experience like first really getting into games like Street Fighter?
Well, I mean, let's take it way back. You know, like one of the lost pastimes is going to the arcade.
That's right.
It's kind of like going to the movies, going to the bowling alley, which are still around, but going to the arcade is less and less. So it's one of the things that we used to do, where our parents used to drop us off, you know, to like let us have our own, unwind and do things, right? And so we're on there, we're playing games, and it's typically, you know, like way back up, Galaga, Pac-Man, one-player games with high scores and stuff. But when Street Fighter came out, like Street Fighter 1, not many people played it as like, you know, 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
But Street Fighter 2 was the first time you would have people come play like, yo, you can play multiple players and you're not just playing against the computer, you're playing against each other.
Yeah.
That's sick. And then you see like 5, 10 people around a machine and you're getting amped up. You're like, what's going on here? You never see this type of excitement, and it just organically builds. And that's kind of like where most of us fell in love with the game, because we've never seen anything like it. Yeah,
I mean, for me, like in the Bronx, right, one of the best things to do was there was this video store in my neighborhood called Star Search Video. I think it was called, Star Search Video. And they used to have 2 cabinets in there. They had I think it was an Alpha cabinet, a Street Fighter Alpha cabinet, and a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. And we lived and died by it. Question real fast, just before we go on to the next. You'd show up with a couple quarters. How long you make a typical quarter last?
Okay, you know, I didn't start, you know, as Alex Valle, the Street Fighter player, with, you know, I fed those machines heavy in the beginning.
Yeah.
But as I, you know, became to who I am, sometimes a quarter. Like
just 1 quarter.
It could be, you know, but I made it last to like, I would make deals with players like, hey, you want to take my game, but when I come back, you got to pay a new one for me when I get back.
Oh,
so that's how, you know, we
hustle the system.
Yeah, we got to hustle, you know, right? Because no, you know what's cool is that they take the mantle for you, so it's on their responsibility. You know, like, oh, he's got like a 50 whatever win streak, I better keep it going.
Yeah.
But if I lose, I just got to pay him back, and he can play again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a little tricks like that.
One of the most fascinating things about the FGC has, and it's weird because it's almost like the old hip hop rivalries of the '90s, where you had, you know, like, you know, Biggie on the East Coast, Tupac on the West Coast. It was kind of the same thing with fighting games, and most importantly, Street Fighter, where like, you know, you had the people that, you know, I was going, you know, almost every other weekend to Chinatown Arcade in New York, but for you guys out here, you had so many options and so many places to go and participate, but you were instrumental in forming a lot of that communal spirit that exists in the SoCal area, like SoCal Regionals, of course, Wednesday Night Fights, which is freaking legendary. At what point did you realize that you wanted to take this passion and turn it into something a little bit more?
Well, I mean, as a player, back then, I would never dreamed that there was going to be sponsorships and big, huge championships. It was just like, oh, that's like the best Ryu player in Orange County. You know, it would like start small.
Yeah.
So that went out for years. You know, there was tournaments and stuff, but I would say where it really, really kicked in was like Street Fighter 4. Okay. But I got to give props where the props is due. My business partner, co-founder of Level Up, Jimmy Nguyen, my man. He's the one that really opened my mind into like, all right, you want to get back into this stuff, you want to train people, cool. But what do you want to do with this?
Yeah.
Like these hard-hitting questions. I mean, what do you mean what I want to do? I want to play. It's like, don't you want like to expand?
Don't you want to grow it?
Grow it. What are you going to do to grow it?
Yeah.
You know, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, I haven't thought that far yet. So we got together and we thought like, well, there's plenty of things that we can do to level up the community.
Yeah.
You know, create events, you know, create broadcasts. So he put a lot of this stuff down the table. So he was the architect to this stuff. I'm the community guy, the guy that brings the players in. So we're like, this can work, you know, starting in the garage, doing these events on Wednesdays.
Yeah, man.
And it just keeps going and going. And like people are like, yo, we can learn from the legend Alex Valle, and then people are watching the stream. Streams were new, and it's just everything grew organically from there. So about 2009, 2010 is kind of like where this thing really blew up for us, like the next renaissance of community building.
Well, yeah, it's actually quite interesting. You mentioned, you know, the streaming aspect, because in the early days of Twitch, it was very much like, you know, what was the Wednesday Night Fights crew, what they were doing, or even like Live on 3, right? Like Scoots and DJ Wheat and those guys putting together shows. Team Spooky, got a big shout out to him because he was instrumental in a lot of the growth of showing this to the world. So you guys were like trailblazers at the time. Because I recall, like, back in the day, it was always like, hey, we got to do an event. Oh, yeah, you know, just call Valle's crew or just call Spooky's crew. And to me, like, that was always just so incredible. So transitioning from that, though, to, you know, Level Up and what you've been able to do with that, how has it been now kind of entering into more of the corporate space? You know, like, not to say, you know, the sellout space, but, you know, the corporate levels of the FGC now.
No, I mean, it's the natural progression of things. You know, like players and organizers, what you want to do is you want to work directly with the source. Yeah. And in order to do that, you have to build rapport. You got to build relationships. You got to build experience. You got to be mentored the right way to do things that aligns with their vision too.
Yeah, of course.
It took us many years to figure that out, of course. And Capcom, Bandai Namco, you know, Arc System Works, like all those amazing companies trusted us with what we were doing as a communal community building, creating events from the ground up to eventually, like, we had an SCR which partnered with all of these as part of a tour, and we both learn from each other what the developers want, what the community wants, and that conversation did not happen for the longest time. You know, it's just I'm glad the publishers are finally listening more and more to great streamers all over the world, and they have been partnering with them. So it's been that type of connection, that relationship that you constantly have to work on.
Yeah, it's been so amazing to see it grow to where it is now. I mean, dude, remember when the FGC was rejecting the term esports, but now it feels like it's second nature. What do you feel like was one of the biggest challenges that the FGC had getting up to this point?
So the biggest challenge was identity. You know, like FGC, we didn't grow up with commentators. You know, I always tell this funny story where James Chan, one of like the most beloved, legend in the space. So he came to one of our early Wednesday Night Fights, and I had a mic in my hand. I was trying to explain the same. I tried to do multiple things at once, and then I'm like, okay, this looks ugly. So I'm like, hey, James, do you mind like letting people know what I'm doing, and just kind of, because you articulate these things well. And he goes, you really think people are gonna like that? And I'm like, yeah, of course, dude. And he went on there. First 3 weeks that he was on there, it was like, who is this commentary guy? What is this, like, get that thing out of my Street Fighter. And then the week that he doesn't show up, they're like, hey, where's James? Yeah. Where's James? What did he say? I'm learning so much from him and stuff. So that just tells us the community did not know what they wanted. You know, and then Jimmy and I went back to the lab and said, let's just do stuff, regardless if they're going to like it or not, because they don't know what they want. So might as well get flamed for it first, and then get the feedback, and then eventually push that envelope, and maybe, you know, it will catch on. And look at it now. Jimmy was the first one to put overlays and sponsor stuff on, you know, and multiple streams in an event. And we have that today. You know, and everybody's innovating in their own way. So we're just glad to make a footprint into the community where everybody is kind of leveling up their communities in their own way now.
Well, I think it's, unmistakable that you have very much left a footprint. I mean, even for folks like myself, like operating in other sides of the space, I look at the FGC, I look at the commentary over there, and I see the personalities, and it's unbelievable, right? But, now looking to the future, right? You work with, Capcom Pro Tour. We're going to have the season finale this weekend, right? Very exciting. What has it been? How has it been working with Capcom? But how has it been building the CPT? Because I recall being at Twitch and helping form that initially, but it has blossomed so much more than I could possibly imagine.
Yeah, I'm gonna say hats off to Capcom for starting that in the Street Fighter 4 era.
Yeah.
But where they really put all their marbles in is Street Fighter 5, and we had the opportunity to work with the future of it. And in the future of community building in 2015, 2016 was the online environment. So Jimmy and I, created that for Capcom. And it's like, hey, we can build the same type of environment as offline, the same running pools online and then broadcasting the top 16, top 8. And they're like, wow, this is fantastic. But if you look at that conversation back then, we're like, no, man, we don't want to play online. The Capcom Pro Tour should be all offline. And look where we are today.
Yeah.
Look where we are today. And Capcom saw this. They're like, no, this is integral to their future plans. All the publishers are going to move forward on this eventually. And that's where we are. And that's why we are so motivated to work with like Capcom and all these great companies, because they see it now. The alignment is there. Yeah. The growth is there. Finally, people are eating, People are eating now. So that's because the more that we are involved together, greater things are going to be built.
Yeah, man. I mean, the FGC is a personification of turning your passion into something, into something bigger, right? I always look to it and I always think to myself, like, it's beautiful. Like, it truly is. And for those who don't know, and for those who've never had a chance to watch a fighting game tournament, just tune in to Capcom Pro Tour this weekend. I guarantee you'll love it, because Street Fighter is one of the greatest games to watch. It's one of the easiest games to watch, right next to Rocket League, right? Do you think that led to the success of Street Fighter, its watchability?
Yeah, Street Fighter definitely is the first esport fighting game, but it's actually, you take that back before even the word, it's the first game that people in the arcade looked at as a competitive game before all these fancy words came out, and fast forward to now, our team, Level Up, we work with Blue Coast to produce and finish the Capcom Pro Tour Online that just finished in January, and they have the Capcom Pro Tour season finale this weekend. It's a culmination of 31 events. Wow. 31 online events. That's a full weekend of work.
There's 52 weeks
in the
year.
There's 52 weeks in the year.
Events.
Yeah, so we were working really hard to make sure that every section in the world, just about, there's still so much to cover, but was well represented as much to our ability and to bring new stars to the table, because the most important part about growing an esport is to find in the new stars.
That's true, right? You have to be able to develop that talent.
Yes.
Online allows that to happen.
Yep.
One of the biggest contributions to, and if you don't mind explaining it real fast, rollback netcode has been by far one of the most important integral parts of online game development for fighting games. It's like almost if you release a game without rollback, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Rollback is one of the more integral pieces into delivering a final product, because the way that we play now, it's not, we don't play with our friends at our houses first anymore.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like that for a while. The first contact with players is going on that rank or casual match online. So that's part of the main vehicle that drives everything. So you can make a game that's very beautiful, but if it doesn't work, that's only going to last you for so long.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm happy to see more companies are paying attention that rollback and advances to rollback, or whatever the next iteration is going to be called, has to be the future ongoing. It can never stop improving.
Yeah, and well, speaking of the future, all right, I'm gonna shoot my shot here.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a lot going on with CPT this week.
Yeah.
Okay, we got ourselves a little season finale. First things first, who do you think's the favorite? Who should our G4 audience be looking out for to take home the crown? And also, should we expect a little bit something else this weekend?
So Capcom Pro Tour season finale is only online right now, because the Capcom Cup was the live experience was canceled. So that means it's only a regional event for those regions.
So each region.
Each region.
Let's say NAEU. Who you liking right now?
Ooh, okay. NA North America. There's an East Coast and a West Coast version. So,
Okay.
East Coast is probably Idom.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the most consistent. He's the robot. Like if you're having a bad day, he's just gonna make it worse. If you're having a good day, it's gonna be very. It's
gonna become a bad day.
Yeah, or that too. Or that too. So, but Punk is. I mean, he's no slouch either. It's just, is Punk gonna have a good day or a bad day?
Very true.
Idom doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And then the West Coast, I would say Chris CCH. For
Okay.
sure. You know, that kid has grown so much with utilizing every character to his disposal now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, because, you know, usually you have the hardcore, learn one character. I've seen this kid learn, like Luke. He's won almost every single Wednesday Night Fight since Luke has been released.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the talent. That's part of my job. I gotta.
Of course, you're developing the next generation.
Yeah.
Any other small little big announcements for anything?
You know, I'm thinking as a fan here. All right.
I just want to see something cool.
I just want to see something cool. I think everybody's expecting something. Of course, you know, Capcom is notorious for, you know, showing a little something after the Capcom Cup or Capcom Pro Tour finale is done.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping as a fan I can see what we want to see. But
fair enough.
You know, as being honest, like everybody wants to see the next Street Fighter game. It's always been hinted. Everybody wants to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure
all do.
everybody wants to see it. So I'll be super excited. I'm a fan like you. I don't know actually what's going on. We're not producing that show.
Fair enough.
We're not producing that show.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we're definitely stoked to see it if it's there.
Hey, man, well, look, I don't know if you guys could tell, but me and him could probably talk for hours. Unfortunately, in the TV world, we don't have that flexibility. But Alex, I want to thank you so much, my man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and see you guys.
Sure.
Give it up in the house for Alex Valle, who's a freaking legend. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to learn how to street fight in real life. Yes, you heard that right.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.